Okay, fine. My SAP screen is visible to all of you, and my voice is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we will continue the discussion. Today's topic is house bank. Actually, in SAP, in previous classes, up to the ending of general ledger accounting, we directly create a bank account, GL account. We directly create a GL account having the name of the bank, or we just simply put the name bank account for the sake of understanding. But actually, the banking related activities, bank transactions, doesn't happen like this. Normally, what happens in SAP, there are three GL accounts. Every bank, every account, every particular account in which we will do the transaction, three numbers of GL accounts are required. One is bank incoming, another is bank outgoing, and another is main bank. So bank incoming and bank outgoing, main bank, these things will be discussed definitely, because we are going to do the bank reconciliation statement in SAP. We will not do the manual bank reconciliation statement, but we will prepare the bank reconciliation statement in SAP itself. So for bank reconciliation, or the standard procedure is, we have to create three numbers of GL accounts for each bank, or I may call it, for each account. Suppose in a particular branch we have two numbers of bank accounts. So two numbers of bank accounts means, for the first bank account we have to create three numbers of GL accounts, that is bank incoming, bank outgoing, and main bank. Similarly, second bank account we have to also create three numbers, but those things I will discuss later on. Why later on? Because in bank reconciliation, presentation of the bank reconciliation, configuration of bank reconciliation, I have to cover not only accounts payable but also accounts receivable also, because in bank reconciliation statement both the things are possible. What is both the things? In some of the cases it may happens that you have made the payment, but the amount is not deducted from your bank. If it is not through online mode, if you have issued some checks, then it may happens that, to whom you will issue the check? In accounts payable, you are going to issue the check to the vendor. So on the date of the bank reconciliation, it may happens that some of the checks are not cleared. That means some of the checks are not presented by your vendor, and these are not cleared, these are not deducted from your bank balance. And just the reverse case happens in case of accounts receivable. So all these things can be very well discussed after the completion of accounts receivable, payable, then accounts receivable, then at the last part of accounts receivable I will discuss all these things. But before that, in case of banking related transactions, there is a different concept in SAP. Okay, there are some different concept, different approach. System approach is completely different. What we have learnt in our traditional practice or traditional accounting software which we have already used, here the practice somehow changes. So before going to the practice, actual practice can be known only after completion of the bank reconciliation statement and creation of three numbers of GL accounts, incoming, outgoing, and main bank. But here you will learn the 50% of the practice, banking practice, which is there in SAP. So let us start with, there are some new terms here in banking or bank activities is concerned in SAP. There is a term called house bank. Okay, there is a term called house bank which is there in SAP. This term house bank is completely new to all of you. Normally in the certification exam also, what is house bank? questions are asked, there are different multiple choice, but we should simply understand that house bank is the branch in which we are operating. House bank is the name of the branch in which we are operating, or our business is operating. Okay, so that is called house bank. And on the house bank, in the house bank, there may be many accounts. It may not happen that, it may, most of the time it happens that in a particular house bank or in a particular branch, there is only one account in which we operate, business operates. But that doesn't true in all cases. It may happens that in a particular house bank, a business may be having more than one account for business operation. So in this case, the house bank is one, but that we have to create account IDs. Okay, we have to create multiple numbers of account IDs. So what is account IDs? We know that, suppose our business is operating with State Bank of India main branch, okay, SBI main branch. But in the SBI main branch, say we have three numbers of accounts. So three numbers of accounts means the bank gives unique account number for each and every account. So account number is completely different. However, in SAP, you know that SAP, from the starting of the learning of SAP till now, everywhere in SAP we have created a nomenclature, we have created a identification. Either it is a numerical identification, or it is a alphanumerical identification, or it is a purely alphabetic identification. Everything is having a identification. So that identification starts from the customization, creation of basic organizational structure till the master data. So what is master data? Suppose we have created a GL account previously. So whenever we created GL account, only description was not sufficient. We created numerical identifications. Similarly, whenever we create vendor master, Trident Industries Limited is our vendor master. In the previous class, I have already passed some entries in Trident Industries Limited. So that vendor master Trident Industries Limited is not sufficient. In SAP, I have to identify it, I had to identify it with a unique number. Okay, so unique number for my vendor master. Similarly, though house bank will be there, it will be identified through a number or alphabetic or alphanumeric. Again, for the particular bank accounts, suppose there are three bank accounts, three numbers of current accounts in that particular main branch or in that particular house bank, I have to create three numbers of identifications, and those identification is called account ID, right? I have to create account ID. Account ID is nothing but it is an identification. It is a free field. You can give alphabetical or numerical or alphanumeric identification of that particular account number. Obviously account number will be there, no issues, but in addition to that, SAP identification is also required. Your identification of that particular current account is also required in SAP, right? So the perfect hierarchy is, on the top we will be house bank, and below the house bank there can be account IDs. Either there is one-to-one correlation, or one house bank, one account ID, or under one house bank there will be more than account IDs or more than one current accounts for our business operations. Okay, so that is the basic understanding what I have to do. Now before discussion of the house bank and banking related things, First of all, let us create another GL account, okay, which will be connected with my account ID, or which will be connected with my bank account. So let us create a GL account first. For creation of GL account, go to the FS00. Okay, fine. So I'm going to create a GL account. My previous GL account relating to my bank, I am not going to use it anymore. So before creation of any GL account, what is the strategy? The strategy is to see the account group. Okay, that is very important, because account group guides us what should be the GL account number, right? So for looking at our account group, the transaction code is OBD4. Okay, in the OBD4, let us go to my chart of account S27200, right? So any bank account or any current account, whatever I will create, it will be created under current asset, and the range is 2 lakh to 2 lakh 99. So let us see what are the GL accounts we have created and what are the numbers which are already been occupied. Okay, so the number which are free, that only I am going to use. So here 2 lakh is occupied, 2 lakh 1 is occupied, then 2 lakh 10. So I can create anything having 2 lakh 2. So let us create, just a minute, let us see. Okay, fine. So I will create 2 lakh 2. Click on with template. I am copying it from the existing 2 lakh. Click on enter, right? Okay, so once I copy, then what happens? It is purely copied from my previous one. So what is the previous one? The previous one is bank account, right? So now I have to change the short text and long text. So I put the short text and long text as, say, SBI current account. Okay, long text also SBI current account, right? Now I will go to the control data tab. So in the control data tab, I don't have to do any kind of changes. However, I will go to the create oblique bank oblique interest tab. The name of this tab is create oblique bank oblique interest tab, right? So naturally there is something relating to the bank which is there. So in the middle one, I have to select relevant to cash flow, right? I have to select relevant to cash flow, and I will click on save in my request. Okay, though house bank and account ID is there, but I am not using now. I will directly create house bank and account ID and link with this particular GL account. Okay, so after creation of this GL account, let us go to and create the house bank. For creating the house bank means the name of the branch in which you are opening the current account, you are having the transaction. So for that purpose, we will go to the SPRO area, SAP reference IMG. Then we will go to the financial accounting new. See, previously we were very much familiar with financial accounting global settings new, general ledger accounting new, and in the previous class also I have covered some of the customizations in accounts payable here. But this particular node is not usable for us because this node is contract account receivable and payable. Okay, so this is relating to the utility industries. Okay, so these are not used by manufacturing industries, these are used by utility industries. So this particular node is not applicable for us. Then there is a node called bank account, right? So I will click on this node. Then I will go to the bank account. Under the bank account there is define house banks. I will click on the execute button. Once I click on the execute button, it will ask me the company code. Why it is asking me the company code? Because there is so many numbers of company code in this client. So once I will give my company code and do the customization, then it is that particular house bank is confined to my company code only. So that's why it is asking it, and mandatorily I have to give the name of my company code and click on continue. Once I click on continue, the system will allow me go inside, right? So here there are two screens, one is left side, another is right side, and in the left side there are two numbers of folders. Okay, one folder is open, one folder is close. So this first folder is house bank and second folder is bank account. So here on the right side, as we have opted the company code, so by default the company code is appearing here. Now in this particular screen, this is just like a Excel sheet. I have to fulfill the required identification of my house bank. So now for the purpose of identification of my branch in which I am doing the transaction, then I have to click on the new entries, right? So once I click on the new entries, the system will ask me what is the name of the house bank, what is the name of the house bank, right? So if it is, suppose it is State Bank of India main branch, so I have to give it, because that is a long name. State Bank of India main branch is a long name, so I have to give any kind of short name, like say SBI 1. Suppose SBI 1 means, for my understanding, or actually description will be there definitely, but I put it say SBI. Okay, detailed description I will give for the main branch in the subsequent stage. Click on the country. Okay, so I have to put the country name, that is IN. IN stands for India. We can directly type or select from the drop down. Then it is asking for the bank key. Okay, so bank key can be anything, any identification for your bank key, or you can also you may not give the bank key, it is up to you, or you may having a separate identification in your system, SAP system, for identification of that main branch, and you can assign a particular key here. Okay, suppose I am assigning a key, say 1 2 3 4. I am assigning a key 1 2 3 4. Okay, telephone number and contact person I can also give or may not give, it is up to me. These things are not at all mandatory. Then I will click on create button, right? Once I click on the create button, then bank country and bank key is automatically coming. See, bank key, this is not mandatory, I can also omit that. This is up to your organization if they are using any bank key or not, but it is desirable, it is standard practice to use a bank key, and that bank key normally used as your account number. Okay, bank account number is used. Here it is asking for the name. So here I put it SBI main branch, and it is asking for the street. Suppose the street is say uh, uh, Sadar Street, and the city it is asking. I am putting the city as Kolkata, and bank branch I can give any details here, or I can just escape it because the branch name I have already written here. Click on the continue and click on save in your request. Okay, then I will click on the second folder, because in the second folder I have to put some more numbers of information, more information. In the second folder I will click on bank account. Okay, click on the new entries button. So some more information is required here. Now I have to give the account ID. This is a short field, maximum 4 or 5 characters will be there. See, these are 5 characters. So even if the bank account number is a long one, however, you should have a identification of your particular current account in this particular branch with a short identification, and that short identification is called account ID, right? So I am giving the account ID, say SBI1. Suppose I have 3 current accounts, we can use it like SBI1, SBI2, SBI3, like that. It is up to us. So I am putting the description as State Bank of India current account 1. Then it is asking for the bank account number. So this is the field where actually I will put my bank account number. Okay, so suppose my bank account number is it can be a long one, so many characters can be there. Suppose I put the bank account number as say same 1234, which is very similar with my bank key. Okay, so what is IBAN? There is a field called IBAN. IBAN means international banking nomenclature. So in international community, every bank have a identification for the international transactions. So in addition to the my bank account number, which is there in my particular branch, there will be a IBAN number which also I can create for international transaction, so that foreign country can also transfer money to our particular account. So IBAN number is decided by the International Monetary Community. There the country code is there. So this is a long country code is there. Your bank name also depends. Your account number is there. So many things are there. So IBAN number can be created. I am avoiding the IBAN number. Then alternative account number also you can give, but it is not mandatory. It is no more required. And currency I am putting INR. So once I put the currency INR, then that currency will be used for my transactions. Then the most important thing, this is the most important thing. The most important thing is we have to link the GL account number where all the balances will be updated. Once I do the transaction in this house bank, in this account ID, automatically the transaction will be updated in a particular GL account. Okay, so in that particular GL account my transaction will be updated. So now I have already created a GL account for my banking activities, for my banking transactions, which is 2,02,000, right? So I link it with the GL account 2,02,000 and I click on save. So once I save, it is asking for the transport IBAN. Even if I do not give the IBAN, then it is still asking me a notification. Click on yes, click on continue, right? So I have created a house bank, I have created a account ID, and also I have created a account number, I have created a account key, and I have put the relevant GL account. Okay, so these are the mandatory things when we are operating a house bank as well as a particular current account. So these are the minimum things: how name of the house bank, identification of the house bank, identification of your account ID. Suppose you have several current accounts in that branch, so in this case also I can create another account ID in the same house bank. It is also possible. Okay, so if I click on the new entries button, then also I can create, say, SBI2. Similarly, I will put the narration current account 2. Okay, here also I will put the account number, particular bank account number provided by the branch, which is a long list. Also I will put the currency, then also I will create the relevant, I will link it with the relevant GL account. Okay, so that is the scenario when you will be having many current accounts in one branch, in one house bank. Okay, so after this we will go to the next area. I have created only one. When I come back, then whatever thing I have created, that is also showing here in this Excel sheet type things. So it may happens that your house bank contains so many numbers of account ID, n numbers of account ID, n numbers of current accounts. So once I have created one, it is appearing like this. If I will create two, then it will also appear second, third, fourth, like that. N numbers of account IDs can be created in a particular house bank. Okay, so I am coming back. So after creation of the basic identification of my bank, house bank, as well as my account ID, then I will go to the next customization. The next customization is creation of check lot. So what is check lot? See, normally what happens, if any organization use checks for their transaction, then once a checkbook is issued from the branch for a specific account ID or for a specific account, current account, in this case, first of all, that check lot, while I receive the check lot, I have to update it in the SAP, because check lots, that means check books, it can be 10 leaves, 20 leaves, 50 leaves, 100 leaves, like that. So all the checks, individual checks, will be having a check number, right? And the check number is chronological. Okay, the first sleeve will be having the number, and the next number will be the second sleeve. Then the third will be the third sleeve will be the consecutive number will be there. That means my check lot, even if it is 20, 30, 50 leaves or 100 leaves, it is having consecutive. The number is consecutive, and every check leaf is also important from the point of view of administration of the banking activity, treasury activity. Each and every check leaf is important. Even if a check is cancelled, even if a check is not properly written, if there is a mistake in writing a check, then that check has to be, that check which is void or which is cancelled, or where you have you are having mechanical machine for printing of the check. In this case also it may happens that there is some printing problem in the check, and ultimately that has to be cancelled. So everything is also recorded in SAP. So whenever you get a check lot from a bank, immediately you have to enter in the SAP itself. Okay, that is the part of your banking activity. So for that purpose, this is the end user activity. Whenever any cashier or whenever any accountant will receive a check lot, immediately the accountant's work starts. Then I have to go to the financial accounting, I have to go to accounts payable, periodic processing. Why it is there in the periodic processing? Because the receiving of check from the bank is periodic. Okay, it is periodic. uh, just a minute, just a minute. Any problem in listening? Okay, just a minute. Okay, now it is started. So what happens, I have to create a check lot. Okay, so once the check is received from the bank or from the branch, I have to put it in SAP. I have to update in the SAP system. All my check leaf number and everything I have to update. So for that purpose, I have to go to the financial accounting, then I have to go to the accounts payable, then I have to go to the periodic processing. Why periodic processing? Because I received the check in regular intervals, in different periods, not every day. It is not a transaction. It is something which is periodically done. So therefore it is there in the periodic processing. Then I have to click on F110, right? Then from the menu I will go to the environment and I will go to the check information. Then I will go to the number ranges, right? So this thing is mandatory. So what is number range? Same thing, the check leaves will be having the number and those number has to be updated in the SAP system. Okay, well, whatever check leaves are there, the number of check leaves for my check lot 10, 20, 30, 50, whatever may be, that has to be updated in the SAP system. Every check is relevant for me. So I will put the company code name, then I will select the house bank. So this is my house bank, SBI. Then my account ID, is SBI1. Okay, so this is the mandatory information, because you know the check lots is relevant to the particular account. Suppose in a particular branch you have two numbers of current accounts. So in this case, the check book or check lot which is received from the bank, those are also different for these two numbers of current account, because on the check lot or the check book the account number is already printed. It is uniquely assigned to the check lot. So account number is linked with account ID, right? Account number is a very long one, but in SAP system it is uniquely linked with the account ID. So that is the most important thing you have to understand, that account ID represents the name of that particular account, current account. It may happen that in a particular one house bank there may be more than one current account, and every current account will be having a unique account ID, right? Then click on the change button, right? After clicking on the change button, I have to click on the create button. Once I click on the create button, I have to give the lot number. Okay, so what is the lot number? Lot number is particularly relevant for my internal identification. So it is 4 digit. So I am giving the check lot number 1. Suppose I am giving the check leaf number. Every check leaf will be having a number. Suppose I am giving the number, say 20,000, 20,001 to say 20,020. Okay.
Sir, actually we are missing something, sir.
Tell me.
Actually, sir, when the screen is not visible, at that time we are in the process of house bank result.
Okay.
And then after what is going on, sir, the screen was not visible at that time.
Okay, fine. I will just recap after this one. Things are recorded, but I will recap. I will recap again. What are the steps you have missed? So I put the check leaf number from number to number. So once I put the from number to number, that means the middle one is automatically recorded in the SAP system. Then in the control data section, there is a important field which is called non-sequential. So what is the meaning of non-sequential and what is the meaning of sequential? Suppose your organization wants that your checks will be sequentially used, serially used. It cannot be used haphazardly. Let us take an example. Suppose I have a check lot which starts from the check number 20,001 to check number 20,020. Whenever my first check lot I am going to use in SAP, my manager told me keep the reserve of check leaf number 2001 for today. Use 2002 and onwards, but keep this 20,001. I am giving an instruction later on to whom this 20,001 will be issued. So it may happen that the cashier or accountant, they will go on using 20,002, 20,003, 20,004, but not this 20,001, because this 20,001 first check leaf, this is specifically reserved for paying to somebody and the instruction has not come. So in this case, this is called non-sequential manner. Okay, so but every organization where SAP runs, this kinds of practice is always discouraged. Like document number is sequential, we cannot manually feed the document number. In same cases, check number is also always sequential. So I do not select non-sequential checkbox. If I select the non-sequential checkbox, then what happens? I can use the check, any check at my own mercy. The system will not obstruct you. Okay, so I don't select this non-sequential checkboxes. Sort information, I can have SBI main branch check and check purchase date. Whenever a checkbook is issued, it must be having a date of issue. Suppose I put the date of issue 1st December 2022. So these things are automatically recorded in the SAP system. Okay, again I am logging. Okay, fine. So I will go to the end user, transaction, financial accounting, accounts payable, periodic processing, F110. Then I will go to the environment. Then I will go to the check information. Then I will click on the number range. I will put the company code name, house bank, account ID. Then click on the change button. Then click on the create button. Check lot number 1, 20,001 to 20,020. Sort information, SBI main branch check. Then 1st December 2022 and click on continue. Okay, so once I click on continue, then whatever thing I have just put in the previous page, that is automatically coming here, and click on save. Okay, so I have clicked on save. Just I make a recap of whatever thing I have discussed. So in the previous execution, customization, I have discussed regarding the house bank configurations. So house bank configurations, house bank as well as account ID, those configurations are there in the bank account. Define house bank. Whenever you create the house bank, first of all it will ask you the company code. You have to put your company code, click on continue. Once you click on continue, you have to click on the new entries button. Here you have to give the house bank name. Suppose I put the house bank name as Union Bank of India, UBI. Then country key is say IN. Then it is asking for the bank key. Suppose I am having the bank key as say 1234, which is easy to remember actually. Then I will click on the create button. Okay, or I will click on save. So 1234 is already there, so automatically it is catching the previous one. Suppose I am creating 12345. Just a minute. Again I am creating, because that is the previous one that is created. I am just coming back again doing it, because 1234 was already there for SBI. So I will click on new entries button. Here I am creating another house bank, Union Bank of India, UBI. Bank country is IN, and I am giving the bank key 12345. Then I click on create, right? Then the bank name, Union Bank of India, say main branch. Okay, suppose I have Saidnagar, city say Bhubaneswar. Okay, then I click on continue. Okay, then I click on save in your request. So the first folder is complete. Then I will come to the second folder. Then I will click on the new entries button. Here for this Union Bank of India, I have to create the account ID. Account ID is the identification of your current account. It may happen that in a particular house bank there can be many current accounts. So many current account means you have to create many account ID. Suppose I am creating the account ID UBI 1, and the bank account number I am giving say same 12345, because it will be easy to remember. Then I am putting the currency key INR, and I have to link it with the specific GL account. I have created one GL account, that is called my bank account, SBI current account. I can create another GL account and link here. So for that purpose I am creating another GL, because that GL was specifically for the State Bank of India. Let us create another GL. For creating another GL, FS00, okay, I am giving 3. I am copying it from 202, which just I have created. Okay, here I will put the name as Union Bank of India, or Union Bank current account, or I can have Union Bank current account here. Union Bank current account. Okay, other things are very much same. All these things here I don't have to make anything. Relevant to cash flow will be there. Then click on save. Once I click on save, I will come to my previous screen. Here I am doing the GL linking, right? So GL linking 203 will automatically come in the list. This one, Union Bank current account. So I make the link and I click on save. While saving, it will ask transport IBAN. Just click on yes and continue. Okay, so this is the way in which I create house bank as well as account ID. Suppose in this particular house bank you will be having many current accounts. So in this case what you will do? You will create again on the new entries button. Here house bank is constant. You have to create another account ID for another current account. So same manner you can create several as per your requirements, right? So I am creating one, but if the scenario requires that you will be more than one current account, then you have to create more current accounts here in a particular house bank. Okay, and it is connected with your company code. So I have created the check lot, I have created the house bank first, then I have created the check lot. Now I will I am passing the entry and using my check for the payment. How using the check in the payment process happens? Nowadays, the using of check for payment is reduced to almost check transaction is very nominal, or there are stray cases where the check is used. Online transaction will be there, internet banking operations are there, but how to do the check operations in SAP accounts payable? Now let us pass one entry first. Financial accounting, accounts payable, document entry, FB60. So now I have to select my company code. So I will change the company code. My previous company code was 7100. For I will change it to my company code 7200. Click on the drop down, then click search what is the vendor name. So Trident Industries Limited is my vendor. Today is say 13th December 2022. Suppose the amount of purchase is say 30,000 and the material which is purchased is inventory raw materials. So naturally it is the current account, it is the current asset, inventory raw materials, and amount is star means the here it will be copied, the liability credit will be copied to the debit, because the journal entry will be inventory raw material account debited to vendor. So text is purchase invoice posting, then I will click on enter. So text is mandatory here, narration is mandatory here. So purchase invoice posting, click on enter. Here the debit is equal to credit and the balance becomes 0. Click on simulate. Once I click on simulate, the transaction looks like this. Here the posting key 40 is inventory raw material and posting key 31, you know, in case of accounts payable, the posting key 31 is vendor credit and posting key 25 is vendor debit. So here in this case, inventory raw material account debited to vendor account. So vendor is credited. So click on post. Okay. So now my document is posted. Document number 6002 is posted in my company code. Once it is posted in my company code, let us see the party ledger. Party ledger is FBL1N. So in the party ledger, I will see which items are open, which items are cleared, and all total items. So my Trident Industries Limited, the vendor account number I give. Suppose I want to see the all items. I put the radio button in all items and click on execute. Once I click on execute, I see this item, this KR document is already cleared. KR document. Document type KR is used for those purchases which is not supported by purchase order, PO. I am demonstrating the process without integration of material management. I am creating the process, I am demonstrating the process of accounts payable where material management related or MM related customizations have not yet been done. Okay, but practically nowadays 99% cases your everything is through the PO, purchase order. Without purchase order or service order, nothing, no accounts payable entry is passed. So I am showing you the entries where the bill is directly coming to the finance department without any PO. Obviously, we will demonstrate the P2P process, procure to pay process, uh, and order to cash process. In this process, the complete cycle will be completed. There will be indent, requirement of material, creation of PO will be there, and goods receipt will be there, or service receipt will be there, and then we will pass the invoice, then we will finally pay the vendor. So complete cycle will be there, but that will be demonstrated later on. Later on means when we will do the costing related customizations, cost element accounting, cost center accounting, then I will demonstrate all these integration areas. So now this is a KR document. The document number is 6002 and it is showing in red, right? So once it is showing in red, that means this particular item is open. Okay. So once this particular item is open, then it requires clearing. Suppose I want to clear the transaction. Clearing through which way? I will clear the transaction through the check payment, right? So once I clear the transaction through check payment, I will go to the clearing. So for the purpose of clearing, I will go to the document entry, then I will go to the outgoing payment, then I will go to the F-53. So click on F-53, put the today's date. Okay, the document type is by default coming KZ. KR is the vendor invoice, KZ is the vendor payment. Then I have to put the bank data. Okay, bank account number. So what is the bank account number I will use? Previously my bank account number was 2 lakhs, but that 2 lakh was not tagged with the bank account. It was simply a GL account. It is a simply a GL account. This account was not connected with my check lot. This account, GL account, is not connected with my house bank. This GL account is not connected with the account ID. So it is just for the sake of demonstration I have created the GL account in general ledger accounting. But however, this is the appropriate bank account GL under which we have tagged the house bank, account ID, as well as we have created the check lot. So here in this case, as my intention is to issue the check for this, so I am using this particular GL account, right? So now I will put the amount, say 30,000 here, and I am putting the narration clearing. Then open item selection. In the open item selection, the account type is by default K. K means vendor, D means customer. So as it is a vendor related transaction code F-53, so by default it is coming as K. Click on the account. Account means the subsidiary GL. That is Trident Industries Limited, right? So I have to give the vendor number here. It is not the GL account. This is the subsidiary GL account. That is the vendor number. Click on process open item. Okay. So once I click on the process open item, then here the amount entered and amount assigned is equal, and I am going for the full payment. So by default I am in the standard payment tab. Partial payment, part payment, which is demonstrated through partial payment and residual payment tab in GL accounting, it is very much similar also in this case. So it doesn't need any further demonstration because the process is very same. Then I will click on the document overview. Again, I will click on the document simulate. Once I click on the document simulate, then two numbers of line items is appearing now. Here the posting key 25 is used because the vendor is debited. Trident Industries Limited is debited and the current account is credited. Right? So once the current account is credited and Trident Industries Limited is debited, that means the party is cleared now. But what about my check? Because a particular check leaf will be used for issuing the Trident Industries Limited. But SAP system is not having a single screen where you can put the check number. There is a two-step procedure. First step, you have to clear the customer, you have to clear the vendor, and in the second case, you will link it with the appropriate check, right? You will link it with the appropriate check. So what is the document number, payment document number here? The payment document number is 3002. Now you have to link the check leaf which is issued for this payment document number. So the cashier will do two things. First of all, it will clear, okay, by using F-53. Then it has to go to the connection of the check leaf or issue of the check leaf to that particular party. So we have to come to the accounts payable. Under the account payable there is a environment. Under the environment there is a check information. Under the check information there is a create, and we will click on manual check. The transaction code is FCH5, right? So the payment document number is by default coming, right? Suppose there are 10 payment documents. So in this case, each and every document, suppose we have to issue a check, then that document number has to be attached here. Fine. That document number, suppose in this payment document number I have cleared 20 invoices. It is also possible. 100 invoices is also possible. 1000 invoices also possible. So this is the clearing document. Payment document means this is the clearing document, right? So clearing document number 3002 is now linked with the check number. So I have a check leaf, right? So I have a check lot. So from that check lot I will use the first check for the purpose of the payment, right? So what I can do, I can also display the check lot. Which check numbers are available, then I can also use that. Let us do it in another screen. I am not sure. Suppose in my case, actually first time I am going to open the check lot. First check leaf will be used, but in case of continuous transactions, in those cases I have to see which check is available. Let us see. Check information, display, check register. Okay, this is the check register. I have to see 7200 house bank. Suppose you have several banks. I have the house bank SBI. I have the account ID SBI1. Click on continue. Okay, no checks exit. Acha. See, actually what happens, I have not used any checks till now. The first time I am going to use the check, so it is not showing in the check register, but let us see it. Let us see it from check information, number ranges. Okay, let us see it from the number range also, we can see it. Okay, fine. So see, check number 2001 to 2020 and number status, no status is there. Okay, so now I am going to use the first check. 20,001 I am going to use. So I will come back. I will use here 20,001. Okay. Then I will click on save. Okay. Now it is saying in the house bank SBI account ID SBI 1, the 20,001 check is directly connected. Okay. So now after doing these activities, then I will come to and I will see my check register. So how to have the check register? Check register I can also see from here, that is environment. Here also I can see the check register. In the environment I will select the check information. I will click on the display and I will click on the check register. Let us see, because my first check is used now. SBI account ID is SBI 1. Then I will click on the execute. Okay. Once I click on the execute, it is showing the check register. In the check register, my first check is already used. Which document number it is used? It is used for the payment document number or clearing document number 30,002. What is the payment date? It is also showing the payment date. The payment date 13th 13th December 2022, and amount is there, and the name of the recipient is also appearing. What is the meaning of recipient? Recipient means the name of the vendor. Okay. Then there is a field called encashment date or void. What is the meaning of encashment date? Suppose I am issuing a check to Trident Industries Limited and the payment date is 13th December 2022. It may happen that the check will be cleared in a subsequent date. So when the check will be cleared, I have to come to the check register and update the encashment date, right? In case of manual system of, in case of normally cashiers or accountants, what they do, whenever they issue the check, in the counterfoil, there is a counterfoil in every or there are 2-3 pages in the first place of the check register, where we write the name of the party and check number on the date of issue and the amount. And later on, when the check is encashed and we see it from the bank statement, we also write there what is the encashment date. Here in SAP, everything is available in the check register. The person or the cashier who do the things manually in the check lot, first 2-3 pages, the same thing is also there in SAP. Same information is also there in SAP. In this screen, whenever the bank statement is received, the cashier has to update the encashment date. Suppose the check is bounced or void, so in this on that date also, the bounce date is also have to be recorded here. Now I have to click on this particular check number 20,001, double click. Once I click on the 20,001, then this particular information is coming. What is the information? The information is regarding the bank details, the information is regarding the check information, the information is regarding the check recipient. Suppose I want to see the clearing document, that is called accompanying document. Accompanying document means the clearing document which is for which we have issued the check leaf. Again I am telling what is the meaning of accompanying document. Accompanying document means the payment document. If I want to see the accompanying document, I can drill down. Just I click here the accompanying document. Once I click on the accompanying document, then also I see this is the accompanying document and the clearing document number is 3002, which is the payment document KZ against the document number 6002. 3002 is the payment document against KR document, that is 6002. Okay. So in this manner, from the check register, we can also drill down. We can also go to the clearing document by just clicking. Suppose uh, your check is encashed. So once your check is encashed, then what happened? You have to update the check register. So once you have to update the check register, then what you have to do? You have to make the change. That means in the check information, I have to, or in the check register, I have to do the change. What change I will do? I cannot change anything. I will change the additional information. So this is additional information or cash. I will click on the additional information, right? So once I click on the additional information and put the check number, then I will click on enter. Once I click on the enter, I have to put the check encashment date. So the check amount is 30,000. The party to whom the check is issued, Trident Industries Limited. The payment document number is 3002, which is the clearing document, and it is issued from the House Bank SBI. It is issued from the account ID SBI 1, and the check number is 20,001. Now I put the check encashment date. Suppose the check encashment date is 16th December 2022. Okay, so suppose the check encashment date is 16th December. 16th December has not come, but I am just putting it for the purpose of demonstration. Click on save. Okay, so it is successfully saved now. Once it is successfully saved now, let us go to the display the check register once again. The transaction code is FCHN. Once I click on FCHN, I have to choose which check register I have to see. So my check register belongs to the account ID SBI 1 as well as the House Bank SBI, and it is under the company code 7200. So click on the execute. Once I click on the execute, I see the check register again. Then on the last column, I see the encashment date is updated. What is the encashment date? The encashment date is 16th December 2022. Okay. So this is the way in which the check encashment date is updated in the check register. Okay. Now let us go to the next check related activities. Actually these activities are very relevant for cashiers. Normally the cashiers who deals in check, they have to learn this end user activity for their day-to-day transactions. But nowadays check transaction has been reduced, but we have to understand still in some companies some of the checks are issued, and when the checks are issued, these are the mandatory end user activities. Then the next activity is on issued check cancellation. On issued check cancellation. What is the meaning of on issued check cancellation? Suppose we are writing a check, either we are writing it manually or check printing machine is there. Suppose during the writing of a check we have committed some mistake. So in that case, that particular check is cancelled. So that check is called on issued check cancellation. That activity is called on issued check cancellation. Though manually, physically, the check is cancelled, and I have striked two lines and written check cancelled or cancellation or cancelled. However, the same thing should be disclosed to the SAP system. You may be having question, physically I have cancelled the check. Why I will disclose it in the SAP? Because in the initial stage I have updated the check lot in the SAP system, isn't it? Because in the SAP system all check information from check number to check number, everything is there in the SAP memory. because I have created a check lot. So for each and every check, what transaction has been done, what activities has been done, it has to be disclosed to the SAP system. Otherwise, there can be inadvertent use of the check leaves. Suppose the second check, that is 20,002, is cancelled before issue. Suppose in the time of writing the manual check or printing the manual check, I have made some mistake and the check is cancelled. So in this case, it has to be also updated by the cashier in the SAP system. So once it has to be updated in the SAP system in the check register, what I have to do? I have to go to the same, that is under the environment. Under the environment, I will go to the check information. Then under the check information, I have to click on the void, and under the void there is a transaction code FCH3. Click on FCH3. Once I click on the FCH3, I have to give my company code, house bank, account ID, and I am putting the check number. Suppose my check number is 20,002. Okay. While cancelling a check before issue, I have to give a reason why this check is cancelled. If I click on the drop down, there are so many reasons are there in the SAP system. I can also create my own reason. Otherwise, the reason which is already there, it is more than sufficient for my purpose. Now I am selecting rift during printing or page overflow. Sometimes while printing, the page overflow will be there. Okay. Or in case of mechanical printer, it may happens that the paper is just jam, there is a paper jam and the paper is ripped during the printing. It is teared during the printing process. So whatever may be this reason, I have to put it. Even if destroyed, unusable, stolen, it may happens that the entire check lot is stolen at night. So in this case also you have to disclose that the check leaf is stolen or the check lot is stolen, and it has to be updated in the SAP system. And you have to lodge the FIR, you have to inform your bank, you have to cancel those checks. Those are the practical activities, but regarding each and every activities to your check leaves as well as check lot, it has to be updated in the SAP system. Suppose the rift during printing. Okay, I put here that is rift during printing, and I click on the void button. Once I click on the void button, then it is saying check number 2002 to 2002, that means a single check is void. So once it is void, let us see the check register. So I have to see the check register. Where I will see the check register, I will go to the display. Okay, I will click on FCHN. Here I have to put the paying company code, house bank, account ID, and click on the continue. Okay, so here the check number 2002, it is written voided by 68 fund. 68 fund means the username. The username is 68 fund 2. What is the reason? What is the reason of void? Rift during the printing. So 2002, this is the void check. So what about 2001? 2001 is here in the below line. 2001 is issued against the payment document number 3002, and it is also encashed on 16th December 2022. Okay, so I have already told you that you have to use the void reason code while making the check void or while making the check cancelled. There are some predefined void reason codes were there. However, you can also create your own void reason code. Suppose the reason you have to create of yourself. So in this case, how to create a void reason code? you have to go to the financial accounting new, accounts receivable and accounts payable. Then you have to go to the business transactions. Then you have to go to the outgoing payment. Then you have to go to the automatic outgoing payment. Then you have to go to the payment media. Then you have to go to the check management. It is a long list. You have to define the void region codes. See, these are the void region codes which are already there. Suppose I want to create a new void region code. Okay, so be sure that it should not overlap with this number, right? So last is 20. I can also create another one with a 21. Click on the new entries, void region code 21. So 7200 void check, void check due to void check due to error in preparation. Okay, so I click on save in my request. So what happens now, my void region code is also appearing. So this void region code I can use for my company code, right? Now I will go and suppose I do the check encashment date. I have already updated the check encashment date by looking to the bank statement. But suppose I discover that I have mentioned the wrong check encashment date. So what happens? In this case, I have to reset the check encashment date and again update it, because check and encashment date updation is a manual activity. Suppose at the time of looking the bank statement and check updation, I have made the mistake. So how this mistake will be rectified? The mistake will be rectified by resetting the check encashment date. Actually, these are the cashier level of activity what I am making you, what I am just disclosing you. These are the accountant or cashier activities, end user activity which happens. So I will go to the same in the accounts payable. I will go to the environment, then I will go to the check information, then I will go to the delete. Okay, then I will click on reset data. Okay, so I go to the reset data. You have to give the paying company code, house bank, as well as the account ID, and I will put on the check number, suppose 20,001. This check encashment date I have to reset while looking at the bank statement and update the check encashment date. I made the mistake, so that mistake has to be rectified. For rectification, I have to come to this screen and reset. I click on execute. It is asking reset data. Okay, click on yes. So once you click on yes, then the data is reset. So how to display? Click on the again check register. Now go to the check register and see whether that information is reset or not. So this is the 20,001. So in the 20,001, in the last column, this is the date of encashment, but now this is blank. Why it is blank? Because I reset the data, right? Once I reset the data, then what happens? The check encashment date becomes clear. Once the check encashment date becomes clear, I can update the check information. I can make the check updation. Okay, so in this process, you can reset the check encashment date. Okay, you can make the check encashment date there. Then I will go to, I have demonstrated the unissued check cancellation. Suppose you have already issued a check to a particular party Once you already issued a check to a particular party, suppose you want to cancel it. So how you have to do this? That means issued check cancellation. That will be called issued check cancellation, right? There are two differences. One is unissued check cancellation, another is issued check cancellation. So unissued check cancellation is very much easy because it is not connected with a payment document. In the check register, it is not connected with a payment document or clearing document. Just understand what I am saying. On issued check cancellation is very easy. In the check register, only a remark is sufficient. Okay, I am just showing you. See, this is your environment check information display. This is the check register. So I have also one on issued check cancellation. Okay, this is the on issued check cancellation. Is there any payment document or clearing document? No, nothing is there, because while preparing the check, at the time of preparing or printing it in the mechanical printing machine, the check becomes void, the check becomes cancelled. So this is easy. But suppose a check is already issued. Check is already issued means it is connected with a payment document or clearing document, and in the latter stage we discover something through which there is a standard information to my banker that stop payment or cancel that check. So in this case, don't accept the clearing process to that particular vendor, to that particular check number. So in that case, how things will be updated in the SAP system? Okay, these things will be discussed in the next class tomorrow. I am just closing the session. Good night to all of you. I will send the video. Join on the next class on tomorrow, and we will discuss the further activities, cashier or accountant activities. Good night to all of you.